everybody, I'm Essie.
And I'm Jess.
And this is Rollin' Fatties, a weekly podcast where two fat queer femmes are rolling it up
and spilling the tea.
Eerie. Happy episode 10!
Yes!
Episode 10, baby!
We're a teen.
We're tween.
Tween, thank you.
We're tween.
We're a tween.
We're a tween. We're in the double digits.
It's a milestone.
Well, let's get into it. Let's see what we're doing this week. If you'll hand me the thing.
I'm going to prepare. Ooh. All
right. This week we are the Smokinable Happy 10 Smokinable.
And it's called Classic. This week I cleaned all my pieces. Not the bowl down here, but like all the ones I use not on the podcast. And this one is still dirty again. You probably can't see it on camera again, but it gets so dirty so quickly.
Yeah, I think that's the nature of how this guy works.
All right. I will pull our topic.
I'm ready.
I don't know what can beat last week's Jersey Shore, but we'll see. Okay. It's grandparents.
Grandparents. Interesting. I think it's funny because we were saying before, we were talking about how like a lot of the topics that are thrown in there are just like special interests. And then I think that one came up when it was just like, I think both of us have interesting things about grandparents or something.
Yeah.
My mom's dad died when my mom was really little, so I never met him. And my mom's mom died when I was really little, so I don't remember her much. So the only grandparents I really remember are my dad's parents. And my grandmother, my dad's mother, is actually tattooed on me right there. That's Odile. Odile Hofschmidt.
Wow, okay.
Marie Odile Hofschmidt went by Odile.
That's a fun name.
A lot of people in my family go by their middle name, including Odile. I know. I love Hofschmidt.
Mm-hmm.
It's so good.
It's good. It's a good one.
It's fucking...
It sounds like it's satisfying to say.
It's very satisfying. But yeah, she was really, really rad. My grandpa was Leon. And both of them, by the way, are native French speakers. So my grandma was from France. My grandpa was from Haiti. So Leon and Odile.
Leon, I've always loved that name too.
Leon. And spelled it with the accent on the O.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm,
yeah.
But yeah, he was a genetics professor.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And they met in Paris because he went like full scholarship because he was very smart to the University of Paris. And that's where he met my grandmother. And my grandma was an artist. I'm an artist.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
My grandma's day job was selling jewelry and cosmetics. I sell jewelry. I know. And it's funny because when I worked, so I work at a piercing shop, and I worked at a piercing shop over a decade ago when my grandma was still alive. So I like was like, oh, grandma, I'm just like you. Like, I'm selling jewelry and doing art. And so to be back in a piercing shop and selling really nice jewelry, like it's another nice little connection to my grandma.
Do you think she'd be proud of you?
Oh, my grandma was very proud of me. I'm sure she would be. She already was. I never really felt like my parents understood me at all, like ever. And like my brother to me and my sister seemed very clearly like our dad's favorite, and we went back and forth about who we thought was our mom's favorite as a kid, but I never felt like my mom's favorite. It was always like either my sister or my brother. Even though my mother really insisted she didn't have favorites, and my mom really tried to like not be that kind of person. I'll give this to you because I'm still talking so much. But I felt like I was my grandma's favorite because I was an artist like my grandma, and my grandma told me I looked the most like her. And like about my parents, my grandma used to tell me that like I shouldn't worry about my parents not understanding me because they weren't artists like she and I, and that artists could always understand other artists, but like, you know, so not to take it personally, like they couldn't understand me.
Yeah, so you had the like, you're very close with your grandmother experience.
Yes.
I had the opposite.
But like just the one grandparent.
Yeah.
Like I felt like my grandpa liked me okay, but like he was just like, we just never, like there's a language barrier between me and both my grandparents, but like also my grandpa's interests just weren't, he was just excited to have us around. So I never really felt like my grandpa knew us like individually as people, but my grandma, I very much felt like
Yeah.
You and me, Grandma. We got this.
I always wondered what it felt like to have a grandmother like that. That would
Yeah.
be like a respite from the home
Having like,
life.
yeah.
Like what you said, I don't feel like my parents get me, but like you have this grandmother
Yeah.
who does, or this aunt who does. Like I feel like that's like a trope that I never
Yeah.
experienced.
My biggest thing was really just that my grandma was so far away because
Yeah.
my grandparents lived in Puerto Rico. So they, like, when my grandparents got married, they moved back to Haiti and they lived in Haiti for several years and had my dad and my uncle. And when my dad was like 12 or 13, they moved to Puerto Rico because of political unrest in Haiti. It's ongoing. I don't know if you know. Um, so my grandparents lived in Puerto Rico all when I was growing up, and they were divorced, but they lived across the street from each other.
That's
And
cute.
they both lived in apartment buildings. So like whenever we would visit our grandparents, we'd be staying at like one of them's apartment. We always stayed at my grandpa's, but then like when we were gonna hang out, they would like take us down, have this weird exchange where like either one of them, whoever was taking us to the other one's apartment, like when she was taking us back, would just kind of like ring the buzzer. And then when they saw the person was coming, it's like, there they are. And turn and
Wow.
leave. Like, it's wild. So my grandparents were very interesting people. The big thing for me growing up was recognizing that like it was weird, at least where I was living up north. This is very different, but in the south particularly, it was very weird that my grandparents were foreign. And my grandpa was black because my grandpa was Asian, but he was not African American. So there was like a big thing of me understanding like race when I was like in middle school, starting to kind of put these pieces together of like, I am a mixed person, but my grandpa doesn't have like the black American experience. But my grandpa was Haitian and they have their own like history with France and brutality and like slavery. It's just very different. And so like culturally, I understood my grandpa to be foreign before I understood my grandpa to be black.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I was just like,
Makes
oh,
sense.
my grandparents speak different languages, and that's weird from all my friends who have their Mima and their Pap Pap and their, their Pappy and all the weird things that Southern people call their grandparents.
What did you call your grandparents?
Grandma and Grandpa. Sometimes, I mean, like, because of, also remember, they were the only grandparents I had. So it wasn't like my Mima versus my Mammy, who are like my two different grandmas.
Yeah.
Or like Grandma Carol versus Grandma Louise. Like, I just had one grandma and one grandpa, so they were just grandma and grandpa. There was a little bitty time where I called my grandma Abuelita, and my dad was like, don't call her that.
Wow. Why?
I think he just thought it was weird that his white American kid was calling his mom Abuelita because she lived in Puerto Rico and spoke Spanish. I don't know. But I just remember my dad being, I think my dad found it like cringy in some way, but he never explained why. He was just like, don't.
Oh, wow.
I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I also had a limited number of grandparents. My dad's parents both died before I was born. His dad died when he was very young, like 12, I think. My mom's dad died before I was born as well, a couple years before. So the only one I had was my maternal grandmother.
Okay.
Her name was Helen. Helen was not a kind person. She was like pretty mean, actually. I think she was mean to my mom. There is a big age difference. Sorry, I hit that bowl and then every other thought went out of my head. There's a big age difference between my mom and her siblings. I
Is
think
she way older or way younger?
Way younger. I think my mom might be like 8 or 10 years younger
Like
than
a surprise
the other
menopause
two.
baby?
Yes, so she was a surprise. I think the way it's always been explained to me is like my grandmother probably thought she was like done having kids and then had another one.
That's why, I was like, surprise menopause baby.
Right.
Which with our parents' age group, like that's not.
It's not. It's
wild.
But it was
that's pretty
different
normal.
then, yeah. And so she wasn't a very loving mom, and at least I don't think so to my mom, based on the stories. I don't know what my mom would say if she was asked, but like based on the stories I've heard, doesn't seem like she was a very loving mom to my mom. Seems like she was a different mom to the other siblings. But so I also got the version of my grandmother that was like not very kind. And I know that she loved me. Like, I know that she said that. I think she did, but she didn't show it in any way. Like, she wanted to spend time with me, but she would be kind of mean to me when we did. Like she really liked card games and like poker type games. So we'd play that a lot together. And she would always like accuse me of cheating. And I was a kid because my grandmother died Y2K, the literally like 1999, right before the 2000s hit. So I was a freshman in high school in 99. So I only knew her when I was like a preteen and younger. And she would like accuse me of cheating, which I was not doing. And like anytime I won, I know, anytime I won, she'd be like pissed off. So like I don't have fond memories of my grandmother. I never talked to her about anything of note. I never didn't see her as like a comforting character in my life. If anything, maybe saw her as the opposite, like an annoyance. And I almost feel bad saying that because like I do know that like when people get older, like that is how they're seen, like a burden. And so I struggle with that a little bit. It wasn't because she was old. It was just because she like was this presence that was like so negative.
Well, I know, like, I don't want to name the friend. I can tell you when we're not recording. But one of my close friends, like, had a very, like, toxic relationship with her grandma. And, like that, where she was like, yeah, I never had that kind of, like, maternalistic, like, loving, nurturing relationship with my grandma. My grandma was always really critical. My grandma was always, like, telling me I needed to lose weight or talking about, like, how I needed to find a boyfriend or whatever. Like, that she, like, was not into me as a person. And that is like one thing, like I feel very like privileged in that way. I wish I had a good relationship with my parents.
Right.
I wish I had as good a relationship with my parents as I had with my grandma. Like, but I also remember I said, like, talked about my grandma to my mom one time about like what an awesome grandma she was, and my mom's response to that was, "It's a lot easier to be a good grandparent than a good parent." And I was like, ouch.
Okay.
Right? I know.
Yeah, I think
But I'm like, whatever. She was really good at that.
thinking back about how my mom was when I was a kid, it makes sense that my mom is the way she is. Like thinking about how her mom must have been to her, how her mom was to me.
Yeah.
Right? And like you just said, it probably is easier to be a grandparent than a parent. And she still wasn't a good grandparent.
I think a big part of that conversation too with my mom, I don't know how old I was at that time, but like I think part of that was me being like, I can't understand how my dad is the way my dad is when his mom is so cool, when his mom is like this. And I think that was kind of my mom's response to that, was like, as a grandparent, it's a lot easier to be cool and like whatever when versus like being a parent, you're there every day and like you make these mistakes and whatever, versus being a grandparent, you can look back on the mistakes you made as a parent and try and do better, but also like if you don't exactly but if you don't think that there was anything wrong with how you parented and you don't reflect on that, then like you're probably also going to be a shitty grandparent.
I think too it's like in my family it highlights the
I was going to say generational trauma.
I think it highlights the generational differences too, because I think my parents, and this came up a lot when Trump was elected the first time, like my parents are very much so like, well, we can't, even though we don't agree with so-and-so's political beliefs, like their family, we can't not have them around. And I'm like, no, I absolutely cannot have them around. Like if they are not kind to me and they don't respect me and they don't treat me with respect, like I don't need to have a family member in my life. And so I think that difference is also probably how my mom and I feel about my grandmother, where like if I were to go to my mom and be like, hey, your grandmother was like borderline abusive, she would be like, no, she loved me. But when she tells me individual stories about what it was like growing up, I'm like,
and they'll be like, it was
it
was a different time.
And same thing, if I ever said like I didn't like my grandmother, I think she would be like, but she loved you. Yeah. And I'm like, she may have, that isn't enough for me.
My mom's mom, she did not let them call her mom. They had to call her mother.
Oh,
now,
my
mom is the seventh of 9 kids, so all these children. So listening to my mom and my aunts whenever they would be talking about like
mother,
yes, they'd be talking about any memory of like when they were children or whatever, and like, oh, I remember when mother told me that blah 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 blah. Well, when mother came to visit me after I got married, and like, well, I remember when mother took me to school. It's like it's so unnerving, and it's hilarious to me that I'm like, I'm 38. It's 38 years old. My mom's been dead for years.
Yeah.
So my mom hasn't been talking about her mother in a long time. But also, this is a very eerie little, I don't know, thing to end on. But this is, I think we got to be wrapping up anyway. So I mentioned my mom died in 2012. Now, she had open heart surgery. She had a quintuple bypass and a valve replacement. And ultimately, she died a month later of sepsis. So she died of sepsis, probably related to her surgery. And, like, before she went under for her surgery, I was there. My brother was there. My sister was there. And a few of my aunts, a few of my mom's sisters were there. And my mom was starting to get a little loopy from the anesthesia and going under. And one of the things my mom said was, "Did you see her?" And we're all like, who, what are you talking about? And she said, "Mother." And it was implying, to me, it made me feel like her mother was, like, in the room.
Yeah.
Like, her mother's
probably getting
spirit.
ready to collect her.
Yes. And that she saw her, like, before she really, like, went under. And, yeah.
That's funny. I guess I have one antidote too to add to that. My grandmother, right before she died, she had a dream. So her husband was a twin. So he had a sister and they were twins. And I never knew either of them. But my grandmother, right, very, very close to when she died, had this dream that him and his sister were, like, in the room with her, and they were, like, sitting on the bed being, like, very happy that she was gonna, like, hang out with them soon, that she was gonna, like, join them soon.
See them.
So same.
Yeah. I'm a very, like, skeptical person. I don't really believe in a lot of anything, but, like, there are a few just little eerie moments in my life or things that I saw, like, even working at, like, Eastern State, where people are like, "Do you see stuff? Do you see stuff?" I'm like, I've seen a little trick of the light here and there. I've never seen anything that I can definitively say, like, this is a thing that happened. It's always something that I'm like, but I always think that about, like, my mom and her asking if anybody,
Mother.
Just, I know.
Mother.
Did you? Yeah, everybody was like, "Who?" And she said, "Mother." Yeah, and everyone kind of, like, had a little chill.
Yeah,
and, like,
yeah.
there was a little bit of crying. Yeah, life is weird. But yeah, I want to thank everybody for joining us today on a very interesting episode.
Yeah, and whether you had a good relationship with your grandparents or a bad one, we see you.
Let us know.
Yeah.
Talk about it. You should subscribe here. Follow us on Instagram, on TikTok. You can email us, rollingfattiespod@gmail.com.
We love to hear from you.
We love hearing from you.
Submit topics. We'll talk about them on the show.
We'll put them in the pot.
Wink. The pot? Oh, the pot. Yeah.
Pot.
Yep.
But also, like,
yep.
Get it?
Yep.
I'm Essie.
And I'm Jess.
And this has been
Rolling Fatties.
Thank you for watching / listening.